A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out Buffet too.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Tando Pela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Welcome, everybody. We're back to 8 p.m. We're going to talk about the final weekend of EFCON, the final weekend where us as South Africans were not expecting to have gotten this far with this team at the beginning of the tournament. And then also a weekend where Ivory Coast got to complete the cycle. They were so happy to host, so sad when they lost some games, firing coaches, then going on to win the tournament. And some people might have said that we're not here to win these things, but it's fine. All I can say is,
are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I am your host. This show is on every Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. in the evening, and then Fridays at 12:30, where my breadwinners get to choose the topic. And they get to lead the show. My breadwinners, of course, are the people that contribute financially towards this here platform. And if you want to be one of those people, go on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and just for 20 Rand a month, you'll get access to the WhatsApp group, which is where we have the bulk of our deep discussions, and we go on for hours and hours and hours. And you'll also be able to contribute towards the show and have your Friday say with a group of very knowledgeable people about what's happening. The shows, of course, are available in full on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you were late or you missed something, you can watch it on Facebook and on YouTube. They will be there. And of course, we do watch-alongs, especially of the big three, Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, also Bafana Bafana, Banyana, and other big events. Like, for example, when Banyana Bastyle played in the Champions League, which they won. So that is how it looks right now. If you want to add your voice to the show, or you're listening to for the first time, or you've heard the show before, and you're hearing voices and people are always talking on the show, just know that if you do want to add your voice, you have to join me on TikTok. Follow me while I'm live on TikTok, and then there's a button at the bottom of the screen that says multi-guest. Click on that button, I let you in, you add your voice to the show live, and we hear your opinion and discuss and debate. Guys, what a tournament. AFCON 2023, what a tournament. The highs, the lows, the ups and downs, small teams doing big team things, former big teams getting knocked out early. You saw Egypt leaving early. We saw Ghana leaving early. We saw a lot of the big superpowers getting knocked out a lot earlier than they expected. And we saw the rise of some really unexpected teams. South Africa aside, think about Cape Verde. The Cape Verde that everybody seems to love. The Cape Verde that everybody wants to go on holiday to here in South Africa, especially the men. Cape Verde came out swinging. Equatorial Guinea also embarrassing the hosts at some point 4-0 in their last group stage match. We've seen Bafana Bafana again go from a team that wasn't thought to do anything in this tournament, finishing third. We see Nigeria, a team that nobody was actually watching that intently this year, but ended up being one of the last of the big teams left. And then, of course, you have Ivory Coast, guys. Ivory Coast did a mauser. Ivory Coast lost 2 of their group games. One of them was to Nigeria. Ivory Coast barely qualified to get outside of their group. Ivory Coast have players like Sebastian Haller, who last year this time was recovering or was in the middle of fighting testicular cancer. He had cancer last year. He didn't know whether he was going to continue with his career. It's a team that when they lost 4-0 to Equatorial Guinea, they were crying, guys. People were crying. And yeah, it became such a great thing to see them come through and actually take it to the end. But we're going to start off with South Africa versus DRC, where we're going to break down what we saw from the game. It was the third place playoff. It was a very heartbroken team. Everybody kept telling me that Bafana Bafana is a heartbroken team and we shouldn't expect too much from them, and whether they win or lose, what. But tell me, wasn't it nice to see the boys on the podium? Wasn't it nice to see the boys getting bronze medals? Wasn't it nice to know that you are the third best country at this year's AFCON? Wasn't it nice, man, guys? How? In terms of the game itself, to be honest, DRC should have won that game. DRC had more of the possession. Well, not more of the possession. DRC had more of the chances. DRC created more. DRC forced more saves. You know, DRC was the more positive team. We did wake up eventually towards the end of the game, but it was theirs to lose. And as the football gods will always say, if you don't take your chances, then you don't take your wins when they offer it to you, you will lose the game. And that is what happened. It went to penalties, and SA, we were able to win those penalties 6-5. And then also, I want to have conversations about the team, how we feel about it. I want to have conversations about the performance at the tournament. And I want to have a conversation about the future, at least for this first hour, where we can really speak about what we expect from Bafana Bafana going forward. We are going to be playing Nigeria in the World Cup qualifiers later on this year. We are going to be trying to qualify for the World Cup. How do we feel about it? What do we want to see? Who do we want to see? And can it be better? But I'm going to open up now, guys. I'm going to open up now. So if you want to join the show, just remember you have to be following me and join me live now on TikTok for those who are watching on YouTube or on Facebook. And at the bottom of your screen, the button says multi-guest. Click on the button, request, I let you in, and let's have a conversation about this game. And then we'll also have a conversation about the final. So guys, please request. Let's see what the comments are saying. Peace Boy, how are you? Lulu. Linda and Dimadegwana. Paul says, best tournament and very much unscripted. Leander, welcome again, my brother. You're always here. Mazwenkosi says, well, I'm not understanding. Beast Boy says, when you play bad, we win. When you play good, we lose. TJ says, thank you, TJ. No one is forcing him. But anyway, yeah, guys, so while I wait for you guys to request, here's my thing. I think there's a lot of lessons we can take from this tournament. There's a lot of lessons. One of the lessons is that I think we underrate Bafana Bafana and where South African football stands as a whole. Now, I'm not saying that South African football is on the top highest echelon and is the best thing you'll ever watch. What I'm saying is that I feel as though what's happening right now in Africa is that the guys we thought were up here, the guys who had been up here for years, the guys who had the teams that everybody spoke about, right? They're starting to come closer. They're starting to come down. Bo Mohamed Salah getting older. Bo Mane are getting older. You know, Bo Andre Ayew and those type of players are getting older, and it seems as though they're not able to be. The teams are not able to phase them out of the teams. So now we're seeing older guys. We're seeing guys that aren't necessarily up to par. Then you see the rest of us, where you can take a team like Bafana Bafana, a Bafana Bafana team that was, the bulk of the starting lineup was made up from Sundowns. It's younger, it's a lot younger in key places. Zwane is going to need to be replaced, true, but Bomukwena are still going to have some time right now. You see Abo Equatorial Guinea, you see Abo Cape Verde. So I feel as though there's a convergence happening where the old guard is coming down and the new teams are coming up. And we had a similar conversation when we spoke about Sundowns. Remember when Sundowns went out to play in the AFL? They played Al Ali, they played Wydad, and some of us were shocked to think about how a team like Al Ali would park the bus versus Sundowns. And then it came to the realization that maybe these guys are that good. Maybe Bafana Bafana is so good that as another team, you can't necessarily come in swinging. You can't necessarily think that you're going to dominate the game as easily as Bafana Bafana had been dominated before. And we're starting to see a lot of team play coming to the fore. Team play, chemistry. Less names, less stars, but it's guys who can come together and play. And this is what SA showed here, Bafana Bafana. This is what DRC showed here. And certainly, this is what Ivory Coast has showed. So I think we criminally underrate what this Bafana Bafana team has done up to this point. Even now, we criminally underrate it. And even before, when in the 2 years, 3 years that Bruce has been here, this team has been good. Might have been ugly, but it's been good. And that comes to my second point. I know we call it ugly football, and I know that is the term. But, guys, we have to start waking up to the realization that beautiful football doesn't win trophies all the time. You have to start realizing that the teams that win AFCONs are scrappy. The teams that play continental football and qualify to leave and go to World Cups are scrappy teams. There's very few African teams that play beautiful football. You're not going to get 100 chances. You're not going to pass the other team off the field. And I think as South Africans, that is something we need to start learning and start appreciating, that there is other types of football to be played. This Bafana Bafana team was incredible in that regard. We played our football first game when we lost to Mali. Then we played a different, more direct football when we played versus Namibia. We played a more controlled game where we knew that we just needed a draw versus Tunisia to go through. We played a game versus Morocco where we sat back, absorbed a lot, and were able to come back and counter, right? We played a game versus Cape Verde, which was a little bit more sloppy, but we won it in the end. So, guys, beautiful football is great. But if it's not winning and has not won for years in South Africa, how many years have we had beautiful football that has not taken us anywhere? Now it's time for us to maybe learn to diversify and learn to expand our football and understand that sometimes you need Tembazwane to be quiet in order to win the game. Sometimes you need to be Tibang at the back in order to win the game. Sometimes you need to not necessarily have a plan to go forward to win the game, and then you just need to take your chances. And that is something that Bafana Bafana still needs to learn more of, the finishing part, the taking your chances part. But it's ugly, you don't like it, and we've won. Lastly, can we give Hugo Bruce flowers? Can we please give Hugo Bruce his flowers, guys? The last time a South African team made it to a semi-final was the year 2000. You know, we have the term, Yari 2000. We call them Mama 2000. That's the last time. 24 years. Okay, we can call it 23. 24 years since we lost gone to a semi-final. The last time we qualified for an AFCON was what, the year before 2019. So Hugo Bruce has done incredibly well. And I think in as much as we don't like him, he's not my favorite coach. He's not my favorite person, but he's done the job. And I think, and I believe, and I know he's earned the right to take this team forward. Whether he fails going forward, whether he wins going forward. Somebody who brought a continental medal to a country has to continue. A country that hasn't seen it since 1996. I know a lot of us all of a sudden started speaking about gold medals. But the truth of the matter was that there was no gold medals anywhere. Outside of COSAFA Cup. There was no gold medals. There was no World Cup qualifiers. So to hold him to that standard when none of the coaches before him have done that of recent memory, I think is unfair. And I think it shows that whatever we have against Bruce is bigger than the football or the team or the results, because the results are finally there. We've been complaining a long time. Let him carry on. Let him carry on. Anyway. Let me bring in my guests. Mo Africa, thank you so much for the gift. Muluku says the coach must try Rangachiva Vairo. There at the top, it might work. He has the right qualities. What's the use of playing beautiful football with no wins? Says Uronza. Wahib says we need better quality up top. Lulu says we owe Bafana an apology for underrating them. Polymath says now we just need to qualify for the World Cup. Beast Boy says, when you play bad, we win. When we play good, we lose. Malume Kuto, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Mr. Mnandi, how are you?
Hi, man. I'm a medaled country. Not a medal.
That's why when I woke up this morning, I had a pain on my neck. I was like, hey, why is my neck so painful? And you know, it's a bronze medal on my neck.
All right, Kaela.
All right, Mr. OT. So it really felt good. Last time I cried because of Bafana Bafana was when, I know for some people it's not such a milestone, but you know when Thembinkosi Lodge scored against Egypt. Yeah, no, yeah, I broke into tears because people had been calling for him, and he was quite petite at the time, and when he scored running to the corner, I still have that memory. I think I share it even in the group. I'm sure I've shared it 3 times already. And today I saw this post on TikTok of Bafana Bafana players going onto the podium to get their medals with the national anthem playing behind them. I was so proud, Mr. Oti. Even now, I'm still proud. You understand? And I want to take people back to 2014 in March. A certain goalkeeper made his debut for Bafana Bafana and was clapped with 5 goals by Brazil. And he would then be put on ice for a national team because he had conceded 5 goals. But he stuck around. He kept going, and today he's the hero in South Africa after having conceded 5 goals at his debut. I think people should take something from that to say it might start off horrible. It might still be horrible in the middle because he goes on to concede 5 again against France.
Right.
But at some point, it will work out, Mr. Oti. And for Ronan Williams, he's come a long way, Mr. Oti. Umvala was a joke of a defender. When you see Mvala in the lineup, you say, Mvala. And today, he stands a hero, Mr. Oti. He was our hope. At some point, we were juggling Ukulu no Mvala. Ukulu no Kekana. Umvala was a mainstay. He was not going anywhere. We knew Mvala is in the team, and we all agree with Mvala is in the team, Mr. Oti. Mahopa goes into the tournament. Everyone wants to ask questions. We ask questions about 2 players, Umobi no Mahopa. No one is asking why Mahopa went to the AFCON. People understand. People saw. So I want everyone to take from me, Bafana Bafana, that it might be tough, but at some point, it's only one. I'm proud of the boys, Mr. Oti.
No. Thank you, Malume Kuta. I'm going to come back so we can speak about the game. Let's get the opening statements. Stepfather.
My brother, how are you?
Hi, man. As Malume Kuta said, my neck is a bit sore. Ngoba sijwayelanga imedali, man.
Hey, you remember when these boys were leaving, or the time Besnia is squad? We were here talking about that national team that was going to represent us there. And all of us were saying, we're going there for a vacation, so we are early. Because we never believe in those boys. But then the boys, what they did there, it's like they were listening to us when we were talking bad about them. They brought back our dignity. It's Tunzi. No one can take us for granted now. No country will be happy to be drawn against us anytime from now. No country. About Morocco, they know they were number 1 before they played us. And then the next thing, they were going back home. Yeah. Because of our boys. No penalties. 2-0 straight up. When we left here with Mtobi Mvala, all of us were saying, why is this boy in the national team? Some of these guys are banned in Atlanta, but Mtobi Mvala was the best defender in this AFCON. If we went to the finals and won it, Mtobi Mvala was going to be the best defender of this tournament. Kuriso Mutau is the best right back of this tournament. They're all playing here in South Africa. Mukwena, He's the best midfielder in this tournament. I haven't seen any that come close to Mokoena in this tournament. I was watching all the games. I've seen how all the teams were playing. I've never seen a player who was more like, who has done everything like Mokoena. Defensive, attacking. And coming to Umahopa, hey, that guy, when you went there, I support the Pirates, you know how I feel about him. When you went there, it was like, this guy on Atlanta foot again. Why is he in the national team? And the boy proved us wrong. Was proved wrong with no guys. Tina ipola silbuga my feelings. Coach Ipola analyze what I can get from this boy. And Uktolile what he was looking for from that boy. Only if our coach had used Umahopa and this boy Agamayambel. Because we only needed that combination here about two. Because Umahopa at some point he was all alone there up front there. But the minute they were playing with Umayambel, we have seen it is something here. You see. But now going forward to the World Cup qualifiers, we can say now what we're going to the World Cup. Since national I know, guys, we are going to the World Cup. In this AFCON. Because we have a team now. For the first time after so many years, OT, we know who's the starting 11, who's in the starting lineup. Before we didn't know which was Dalaban. It was find which was Sofagutoli, or maybe Sasa Sofagaban, or maybe Sasa Sofagaban. But now we know who's our team. We even know the jersey numbers of our team players. When was the last time who was the jersey number? Bafana Bafana. Jersey number 4 is who? Jersey number 3 is who? I mean, well done to the boys. Well done to this guy Hugo Pros. Which we can do something. We have a team that we can take for to the World Cup or anywhere we can. I mean, well done. Well done to the boys.
Hey, Pelislungu, English data pandu that bell like border step father. So welcome to the show. How are you?
Sanborn Johnny.
Hi man, Simnandi man. We're third place team in Africa, man.
Hey, we can't be more happier than this time, eh? Ngiyaqala nokungena lana Nkosi yami kunini ngenza ama request ngalithola ithuba. I'll become a member.
Sorry.
Sengizokhokha 20 rand manje ukuze ngazi nje ukuthi ngikhona. Ngiyabonga kakhulu ngijabule. Okay, yeah, into engifuna ukukhuluma ngayo mina la engiyibona ibalekile kakhulu. Indaba ye-Champions League ne-CAF Confederations Cup. I think iyona development yethu njengamanje kufanele sisebenzise since singawazi udevelop aba-players from grassroots ukuthi amaqembu wethu awathathe serious lezi indebe zombili ngoba I think involvement ye-Sundowns kwi-Champions League over the years ngoba 7-8 years ilapha I think iBafana Bafana isizakala ngenxa yalokho. I think if we can have ama teams lawa suke equalifyile for i-Champions League ne-Confederations Cup ayithathe serious ungayisiza kakhulu iBafana Bafana ngoba ne-style of play samaqembu awafana abanye bazokwazi ukuproduce mhlambe abadlali baphambili abanjenge-striker i-Sundowns i-positionally based ibhola layo mhlambe ucontrol igame uzothatha abantu abasesiswini kakhulu nabantu basemuva but manje njengamanje since abadlali bedlala la eSouth Africa iningi labo bengadlali futhi kwi-highest level yase-Africa kuyasishaya kancane lokho. But I think going forward into efuna sisebenzise kakhulu ukuthi amaqembu aqualifyayo for i-Champions League ne-Confederations Cup ayithathe serious kube wafa kuzosiza kakhulu national team. Nami it's been a long time kade ngifana nalabantu laba bathi I'm not umlandeli weBafana Bafana for a long time. But now yazi ngiyazi ukuthi lento kahle so kwi frustration lenza ukuthi sigcine sethi iqembu asalthandi. Leli qembu needs support. Even though it is dominated by our players from my team, I think that they deserve to be part of the national team. But it would be nice if we can have more players from different teams because they will give us a different dynamics in terms of approaching our games. We play in ngalendlela ye-Sundowns. Kuyadingakala ukuthi sibe nenye indlela yokudlala like iPirates idlala ibhola elisheshayo. If they can produce maybe a world-class striker lapha kuzokwazi ukuthi kusize national team going forward. Ngiyabonga kakhulu for now ungaze ngiqede 20 rand ingayokhokha ngisho oqala.
No, Thokozisi. Ngiyabuya wena hold on ngiyeza. I just want to read a quick comment from Facebook. Sakile says our coach is doing a good job. He just needs to stabilize his team in terms of his substitutes. His bench is not that strong. I don't mind. He can pick any team as long as his squad has a strong bench. Even if he can take the whole Sundowns team. I'm a Kosi fan, but when it comes to our nation, I support anyone who is selected to represent our country. Says Umthokozisi. Usakile over there on YouTube. Let me go to Kolani. Kolani, how are you, my brother?
I'm alright, Mr. Otsi, unjani boys?
Mina ngimnandi man, ngimnandi. Our top 3 teams in Africa, ngimnandi man.
Yeah, Mr. Otsi, the boys did us proud, Mr. Otsi. The boys did us proud. You can tell by its own Abutikut. I think he was crying as he was finishing his statement. Yeah, so I'm actually just 7 Mr. Otsi, and also let's give Hugo Bros his flowers, Mr. Otsi. Credit to Bruce for swallowing his pride and do the right thing. We've been complaining about Bruce not doing the right thing. We've been saying that at the AFCON we need players with experience. And finally Bruce did selected players with experience, with CAF experience. And going forward, I think we now have our starting 11. Like we have our first 11. I think Bruce needs to improve his bench and have a strong bench for us to qualify for World Cup. And I strongly believe that we're going to qualify because we had a chance to go against in Nigeria, and we saw we can go at them. Yeah, well, we can actually beat them with a strong bench when Mr. Otsi. And also, like Abutikut has said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. With Itebiga Williams, he's Africa's finest now. If he washona phansi when he on his debut when he considered five goals ngaba kekho la ekhona manje, so it's very important not to give up and keep soldiering on.
Okay, I'm gonna come back. Slim G, welcome to the show. How are you? You can just unmute, Slim G.
Okay, sure. How's it, gents?
Oh man, hey, I'm a medalist, my guy. I'm a medalist.
I see. But okay, I'm gonna come off as negative. Okay, sharp, because I'm proud of the boys. Yes, they did the best. Mara, I'm not happy with a team that is depending on their keeper because the strikers cannot score. To be honest, Robin Williams, like, he's the one who took us this far, not the other 10 players. What was the problem, right? Because I feel like the problem is started from midfielder to strikers and all that. They couldn't finish the goals. They couldn't. Like, imagine if we had our opponents where they were actually scoring goals. We'd be long time out of the league. You see, even Robin Williams wouldn't get his medals. Babo. So I feel like we have a big problem. And this thing of depending on one team, like Mamelodi Sundowns, it shows us as our country we have a major problem with football, right? We cannot depend on selective players or one player. What if something happens to them? So in Zanja, like, we're gonna have a big problem. Substituting with them with knowing these guys are not good enough to keep us for that's a sign of a problem, right? And sometimes I feel like it also gives these players confidence that maybe they are Sundowns players and all that. Nobody can replace them, right? Even if trying hard as they could, I don't think they would ever tried hard as they could, because some of these players, they know, okay, they're depending on me, right? So we wouldn't know if they're giving their best or not, because there's nobody to replace them. So I feel like that's another problem we have as South Africans, right? So other than that, I feel like personally, if we have this kind of problems, we have so many players who are free agents and all that, maybe a national team should keep them. Like we have their own first 11. Apart from these teams for Mamelodi Sundowns and Barrett and all that, we have our own South African football team who don't have other teams to play for. But we should keep them, at least practice. Yeah, and try to get there. Maybe at least get them in form and all that. But yeah, we tried our best. That's what I can say. But I'm not happy, Shem. No, I'm not happy with the team that cannot score. Now, imagine the keeper save the game. Yeah.
I'm going to come back because there's a specific question I want to ask you, Slim G. Let me bring in Ubelile. Mtaka baba?
Mtaka baba kunjani?
Hayi man, mina yazi intamo yami ibuhlungu man. Hey, le medal angijwayelanga.
Hawu. Yiphi le ye bronze?
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. Angwazi kahle man.
Nani Mr. Oti izinga le niyathanda ukuthi nibuke ama-level abe so low. Ngiyahluka. Izintamo zobuhlungu zoyi-bronze. Hayi.
Yeah, zibuhlungu bara.
Hayi no, akunankinga. Mina ngiyaphila man, ngibulisa abafowethu lana man. And also, ngiminyile man, because I'm playing on Saturday and I'm playing ne-team fresh ebeyidlala i-tournament. Ngidlala ne-team fresh ebeyidlala i-tournament yonke le nyanga. Thina sibhizi nabo-TTM lena bayasidla nokusidla, yazi inhliziyo yami man ayikho right man.
Hey Belile.
Phela sasenenkingeni bayadlala ne-team fresh, abantu badlala baqeda ukudlala i-weekend le. Thina sigcinele ukudlala. 8. Hayi team fresh.
Ngapha bakuthathile iplayer.
Ngapha bathatha no-launch futhi. Hayi sesimane sibukele siyaxolisa in advance masingatholakali le weekend ni-understand ukuthi hayi bekunzima. Phela abantu bakuseke sadla ama-cable lapha sestadium bekunzima ndoda. So labantu laba
Uthini ke Bafana Barabi?
Bafana Bafana cha no siyabonga. Congratulations to Bafana Bafana. And vele mina vele I didn't give them any opportunity vele. I said it's ukuthi hayi laba babona we see them coming back early in the first round, after the first round. So and nakhona it wasn't the matter of saying like I hate Bafana Bafana, I don't support. No, I supported. My only problem vele was the issues that are also raised by Slim G. Ukuthi firepower ayikho. Ubrigo Bruce selected the off-form players, the players who are not performing in their team. So there was no miracle that's going to happen ku tournament njenge-AFCON whereby uMakhupa and Abolipasa will perform and bang in goals. There was no way. So that's the only downfall nje yakhe on that one. But in terms of like defense and the middle field, I think the guys that are there are the guys that are performing well on their team. Those ones that are there, whether it's defense, Ubukekana, Nomvala, Williams, right back, Umuda, left back, Umudi, even though Sundowns angasadlala left back kanjalo. But they are performing on their team. That was great. And we even saw their performance. We cannot say Umakhopa had a beautiful tournament. I didn't see it. I only saw one goal against Morocco. And I saw a striker who cannot shoot with full lace a ball straight to a goal. He only scored a tap in that one, but a striker who cannot dominate his position and also use his body. So in terms of like when you are taking the ball, it's been put in front of you, you are running straight to the defender. If you are a striker, you know that you have to put your body in front of that defender. He won't do anything to you because he knows that 18 yard is a penalty. But that's what is lacking from Bruce. I think moving forward, we will get Lyle Foster back and also try and select the players who are performing. I don't know who will raise the banner when he PSL Ibuyela for the second round. Maybe the banana striker will emerge and bang in goals and we will see. Or maybe a Naivi Numako, but we will see. Because we never know what has AFCON done to his confidence and also in terms of improvement. And maybe we will see. When they are playing for Orlando Pirates, we will be determined by that. And also moving forward, I think by now, if we are clever enough, ISAFA, they should have secured Peter Mukaba Stadium for a game against Nigeria in June. And that game must be played at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not at 2. They'll be coming, those Nigerian players, they'll be coming in Europe, wonke. Put them at Peter Mokaba Stadium, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we have qualified.
Okay. Ay, Marabili, Yabuya, but I come back. Let me go to I don't want to focus too much on the match. I want to speak about Bafana Bafana. What things do we need to do to take that next step? So now that we've seen that this team can be a semi-finals team, what things can be done in order to take us over the top and make us a true juggernaut?
For me, Mr. OT, there's a lot that can be done. In terms of broadening his style of play, adding to it, you understand? Not just improving or changing it fully, but adding to it. That will allow some of our better players to be involved in the national team, or not just better, but fancied players to be involved in the national team. Because right now, Squatile Marashchabi, you would see, I made it this far. And we are angry at Lyle Foster. However, there's going to come a time where you're going to look left, look right, and say, go crane, so boy, come back. Because he's that good, you understand? And unfortunately, we're thin up front, you understand? So, what would help Bafana Bafana right now is for that meeting to happen. And I think as overthinkers and as South Africans, we need to tag EPSL, SAFA, and the 16 teams. We need to start a movement to have that meeting between Hugo Bros and the coaches happen. I get it, they are busy with their shenanigans, they are fighting. I think as a country, we need to step in because there are some players who we wish could be part. You understand? However, if I cannot be a specific player because I can understand, it wouldn't make sense for I can include. You understand? So it would be better if I get an understanding from a coach. You know, I was watching a penalty, not watching a penalty, but I watched a video of the SuperSport crew watching the penalties. Calvin Hunt was so emotional. He was like, he said it before as well, which I know the boy, he'll save everything. That is because he's the one who gave him that behavior. He understands who Ronald Williams is and what he stands for. And I think each and every player in the PSL has that coach who can tell you, even sometimes, you know, you could have been talking to Jose Rivero about Nyoso, but Rulano would have told you, this is the Nyoso I know.
Yeah.
You understand? So I feel like if we can get coaches to come on board to assist to Hugo Bros and understand it's about the nation and not just about the individual teams. You know, it Chiefs is Alaganje. I believe it's because maybe he does not have the understanding of some key players in there. It would have not hurt to have Okiven Simang, even though he was benched. I feel it would have not hurt to have him in the team, you know, and go right back. It would have not hurt, even though we've got two great right backs in Omotau and Omuren, but also Ofrozla brings another dimension, you know what I mean? So maybe a coach does not understand which Ofrozla ushala pushile. Can he actually stay back? But if he can talk to a coach who works with him daily, you know some things, Mr. We judge players, Ronan, and then a certain coach comes out and says, you don't know the tactics. We don't know that player is doing that because he was told to do that. You understand? And I keep going back to Ronan Williams. At SuperSport, I don't know, did we not watch him? But he was not such a ball player, Mr. Oti. At Sundowns, you would say which he's a midfielder. He came into the team playing as a midfielder. So you can see with instructions can go a long way in the output of a player. You understand? If the teams can come through and say, no, this boy is doing X, Y, Z because I told him. It's not that he's limited to that or no, it's because I told. And then the coach can be like, oh, so who can you someone to actually be a box striker? And I need a box striker. But when I was watching him, I would see him running down on the wings and everything. So maybe little overthinkers as South Africans, we need to start taking the PSL tagging Isafa because we want to go to the World Cup. And I just want to remind everyone that the next African Cup of Nations is next year. So we can still taste glory next year if this team can still play. So this means Umshishi has another day, a fighting chance to become the GOAT. You understand? We can support him. Send the show with Bafana Bafana is there. Play our role as supporters. So in that regard, I feel we'll see if those coaches come through, we will broaden the pool and not only broaden the pool, but also broaden the style of play. You understand? That's what I think. That's where I think we can improve as Bafana Bafana.
Let me go to stepfather. Stepfather, how do we take the next step as Bafana Bafana? How do we go from semi-finalists or third place to winning gold medals and qualifying for the World Cup? What needs to be done?
I think right now we have a team that we need to keep. I change the team, but add. Because, when you come back from PSL, there will be players who will raise their hands, which now I want to be in the national team. Because now there's this thing which is saying I in the national team. Not like before where the players were like, Bafana, and all the stuff. Because the players weren't hungry to go to the national team because there was no national team. Yeah, those boys were just playing to get that pay. But now there are many players who are gonna show I'm available for selection. Pros must just keep this team, add a little bit of those players who excel. You can also be part of this movement, this Hambang, I understand.
Yeah.
So don't change the team, because if you change this team now, then you can keep the back four. Because we need that back four. Then we can mix Lapona Lapoge. Then we can go to AFCON, we can go to World Cup. Don't change the team, because we have a team now. If you change the team, like Segnama Vision 2028 again, Abolama Vision, so Pros must just keep the team.
Road to 2030.
20 Vision 2045. And west part AFCON is a Morocco. It's a college, Morocco is a college. Leyo nje yethu le, because iMoroccans na ukuthi izobe hosted. Leyo yethu. We need to keep the same mentality. We go there. Singabi nalento yokuthi now ngoba nakho sibe number 3 sesi overconfident. Siqala ngendlela siqale ngakhona. Respect the opponents njengoba besele. These boys were so labafana bebe phansi from any game, but ngibonge kuzobenzela bonke kuzobazele ngobuso. Because bebezokushaya. Even if bengakushaya but bengokuzukore kubo. One thing I like about these guys is even no bengakore but bengokuzukore kubo. Because they were so stubborn in the move. They were so stubborn in the midfield. So then I'm a code pen. But then keep the same team, keep the same mentality. Don't change anything. Because there are players who are going to raise their hands and say, because now a player who was here at home watching with us, AFCON, they will feel so bad. After a long time, South Africa tournament, because the boys were like, how semi-finals? Okay, third place playoff. So every player who was from South Africa was like, next time. So, the standard of PSL is so shit.
Okay.
Players also because that's the thing that was making Sundowns dominated, because to get paid. But now every team is going to want to compete, because all the players want to be in the national team. So now.
No. Stepfather, thank you. Guys, please tap the screen. Give me some likes. Give me some gifts if you want to listen to these conversations we're having here, man. Like, man, tap the screen. Let me go to Kolan. What can be done to take this team to the next level?
First of all, let me give props to Abuti Kuto for low-key recognizing Sundowns. Sundowns are improving players, because Ronan Williams wasn't such a ball player.
Hey, you guys.
Yeah, Mr. OT. So, yeah, I think corrections. Upros, I think he did realize he didn't have a firepower from the bench, and I also believe with the LeBron medal, as it's on the AFCON, will spark interest to our players adlala PSL to be interested to be a Bafana player. So I think Bruce needs to like select the right players for backup yakhe and have other tactics, and not have a single tactic. Like the players will bring a different dimension to a game yet, and also select players with heart, Mr. Oti, with players with fighting spirits. Yeah, young told Mr. Oti. And also I hope the so-called big teams will also realize playing participating in AFCON in CAF tournaments will also benefit our Bafana team, because it's evident experience players from Sundowns, it did work as the advantage for Bafana Bafana. So Mr. Otsi, I like you need to select players for benchless who's a little bit strong, because like we step by the shield, we have a starting 11 and a strong starting 11. Hopefully, and the other players are sharing apparently due to injuries will also be fit when we take on in Nigeria.
Okay, thank.
Our players afana nabo lebo Motiba.
Yeah.
A Bruce player efana no Batusi Abbas. So nakhona ngicabanga ukuthi by the time we face Nigeria, they'll be also fit for a qualifying game.
Okay. Let me go to Slim G. Slim G. That's why I wanted to stop you. I wanted to ask you a question here. What can be done at Bafana Bafana to take us from, where we finished now, third place, to being world beaters? How do we need to move going forward from now?
Okay, what I can say right now, I feel like we need another coach, because I feel like maybe Pizzo will take Bafana Bafana on a higher stage. Because also Pizzo is one of our best coaches in SA. And we have to add new players, right? The team is fine. Yes, we did great, but I feel like we need to focus on developing players. We need new players who are coming, right? Because most of the time, this is what's a problem with South African football. We focused on experienced players.
Yeah.
We don't really give the young ones a chance. So we don't know what the potential is, right? Because most of these experienced players sometimes, maybe because of fear, we have that thing we don't want to lose, because we know these ones can do well the job. They've been doing the job for so many years. So we don't give the new players a chance. Also, like Bratolani said, we need people with hearts who want to play, not just for the money or what. We need people with spirits, you see. And this thing, we need players who play CAF, like Sundowns. It shows as a PSL or PSL, it's lacking in general. Because we need to improve. In order to play for CAF, you need to qualify, right? And you need to stay on the league. So most the team that is doing great is Sundowns. Yes, we have some players who qualify for CAF, but they don't go after in rounds of 16 and all that. They are actually lacking, because we need players who can play the whole tournament. Because most of the players, when they come to that tournament, yes, they start with just fine, but mid tournament, the players are tired. They cannot keep up with the same energy as they started, you see. So the performances start to go down. It doesn't improve. So we actually need to focus on that as well, because I don't know how we can. Maybe it's the training grounds and all that, but maybe it's because I'm a player, South African, they like alcohol. I don't know, because they need to stay strong. So yeah, that's what I can say.
Okay.
Yeah, we cannot depend on one team. Yes, Sundowns, because I'm a Sundowns fan, but this thing of depending on one team, it's tiring. I don't want to lie. So I feel like we need to set a standard for South African football. You mustn't take anything else, you see, because once you set the standard is gonna set high. If you set the bar low, the next generation is gonna set it lower. You see, it's gonna decrease. But if you stand high, it's gonna try to maintain that and go up. So yeah, maybe Pizzo will do something.
Okay. Slim G, let me go to Velile. Mtakababa, what do we need to do to improve on this?
As much as Coach Wami is not my favorite, but I don't think it's the right time to go to some coach. When I D5 bid, no put to Slim Sheila. I don't think it's a good decision to fire the coach. And we are playing AFCON next year. And the good thing I think is if Angnamanga is a June of season. Sangethi, the reason why it was playing now was because of the rainy season in Ivory Coast around June, May, June, so I think next year it will go back on the off season then. So, and which means then more players will be available.
Okay.
So including the players that are playing America, because they'll born at that point of time it will be their middle season in terms of their calendar, yeah. But most of the players will be available. So Bruce we will have a big pool of players to choose from. And remember they wanted to make it May and June. So I think this may because it's rainy and Ivory Coast, but we will check, we'll investigate. But I think that was the reason before. So which means it gives us a season and a half to prepare. So teammate deputy premiership champion deputy wesikhathi 19. So it gives us another opportunity to go back to CAF and then make sure we expose those players there. So another team that will be participating in Confederation Cup. I'm happy for Lodge because he'll be participating in the Champions League, of which I'm worried now about one player there, Sundowns, of which I think he gives a different dimension in terms of playing style as compared to Mukwena, of which he's a direct substitute of Mukwena, and if he can pull up his socks, but I don't know what he'll get enough game time this season. We needed him in that squad, and we know Bruce will go with his favorite left back as a push on Phambili. We know Bruce's favorite left back Umayila if he's not injured. So yeah, we give Bruce a time. We allow him. He will get enough chance to select players that are available, and please make sure I'm gonna be stubborn. Select the strikers that are performing. Please, because it shows, it exposed us here. We have we lacked that firepower, and we lacked bench bench in terms of attacking. It looked as empty. So try and improve on that. I think we will get there. Because remember, even our opposition now, they'll appellate. If all the players that are playing over us, they'll be available now. It's going to be a totally different game as compared to this one. So yeah. I think we can coach and just do that, and then we will be sharp.
Okay, no, thank you, Mtakababa. Thank you to the first panel. I'm just gonna round off, then we're gonna talk about Ivory Coast, Nigeria. I think for me, Maluma Kutso touched on it. Something I've been speaking about is that we need to change the setup of what our national team is. And we need it to be a coach by committee. And what I mean by coach by committee is that you have your national team coach, but then essentially you have all 16 PSL coaches be sort of assistant coaches by proxy, right? You need to see more confirmation and information and communication between Bruce and those coaches. So they need to have the meetings, the getaways, the what, where they discuss things. And what I think needs to happen is now we need to set a bar for what we want to see from each of the players, each of the positions, each of that stuff, so that every team knows that, okay, these are the players that fit into Bruce's system that are in my team. We've had a chat with the coach. This is what he can do to bring them higher. This is what I can help him to learn about these guys that I see every day. Because I think that is a very important thing to have, where you have the guys who are dealing with these people day in, day out, be part of a committee that advises Bruce, that Bruce also advises, so that we can get the best. Think about what rugby does with that. I think also Bruce has to get better with his selection for the bench. There are far too many good players in South Africa for us to, yes, have a very good starting lineup, but not have secondary players who can come in and hold up the standard or keep up that standard, right? You need to be able to change and bring in people. So I think a lot of what we saw in this tournament was that when Thembazwane comes off, there's no one who is at Thembazwane's level or close to it who can come in, right? Apolis is a wonderful player for Polokwane City. Is he the best winger that we have that can come in the second half, can come in Nabo Masego, right? I know there's been a lot of injuries and I know that a lot of players weren't available. But I think going forward, if there's something I learned from this AFCON, when watching this AFCON, is that a lot of the teams had two teams. And a lot of the teams had guys on the bench who they could put in to change the game. So, for example, Cape Verde played their secondary team in the first half versus South Africa. The coach could trust them to hold it so that Bafana Bafana will do whatever they do. Second half, we bring in Abo Pebe, we bring in Abo Gelson, we try and do something different. You know, Nigeria had guys like Abo Mofi on the bench, guys like it was Mofi, it was Moses Simon, those guys. Ivory Coast at some point had Kessie on the bench, at some point had so many different players that were available to them that they could put in. And maybe not to say that you have to be Thembazwane. Maybe it's to say that you have to bring something to the team that is a higher level. So for example, Kanyisa Bayo is the top goal scorer, is one of the top goal scorers right now in the league. He's been a top goal scorer for 2 years now. He might not fit into what Bruce wants to do, but here's a guy that I can bring off the bench and say, okay, jump inside and let's put you in and see what you can give us that's different at a high level. He's scoring right now, right? There's defenders. People have mentioned Nabom Simango, Aba Frosla, that are very good defenders that you wouldn't be sacrificing them coming in. You have Ndondo, who can control the midfield, for example, even though Ndondo is not doing the best for me. You have Abo Weber, who could be available to come in and play in some of those roles, right? There's Abo Mbule from Abo Sundowns, there's Abo Nkosinati Sbia, Golden Arrows. There's a lot of players, guys. There's a lot of players that may not be number one, but could play at a high level coming in second half. Think about having Cross. Is it Bradley? Bradley Cross from Golden Arrows in the left back position. That boy is incredible. You could take him and bring him in. Rivaldo Kudzie. I know there's a lot of issues with him and his injuries and stuff like that, but there's people available. Bradley Grobler is one of the top 10 highest scoring players of all time in the PSL. That's somebody who does hold up play, who plays exactly how Bruce wants to play now. Gavin Hunt plays a sort of similar football. There's a lot of people, guys. There's a lot of players that can come in and play a secondary role and not drop, who are better than some of the guys we had on the bench. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. You know, there's also the overseas contingent. You have Mutiba, unfortunately he's injured. You have Foster, unfortunately he's injured. Guys, there's a lot of people available. That we can pick. But I do go back to my initial theory where I said, I think what Bruce is and the role that Bruce is going to play in South African football is that he's going to be the guy that comes in and does the dirty work, comes in and sets the bar. If you think about Sundowns, for example, when Pitso came in, he had to do the dirty work. He had to build the structures, figure out how this works. A lot of you say that Pitso doesn't win ugly. They don't say Pitso does, or say Pitso doesn't have the style of play, he wins ugly or whatever. But Pitso was the person who created the foundation so that Abo Rulani can be as expansive and as experimental as Rulani is off of that base. So I think Hugo Bruce is that base right now, and it might not be incredible. It might not be like the most incredible thing right now, but it's winning. And once we've got a standard, the next coaches that come in build on top of that standard. Build the structure. Let's not stretch it. Agent, I'm not saying he crafted the whole thing. I'm saying that Sundowns' current success is down to Pizzo. Remember, you were almost a relegation team when he took over. So he had to do the hard work of taking them from a relegation team to winning the league the following season, taking them from signing 15 players every year to maybe starting to put it together. And yes, there are other people who are involved in that, but I think that's what Bruce is playing at right now. But in any case, guys, thank you to the first panel. I want now for us to move on and speak about the following topic, which is the actual winners. Ivory Coast, a home team of the AFCON, a team that nobody expected to win, especially after that group stages that were so bad. That they lost 4-0 to Equatorial Guinea. People were crying and coaches were fired. And they were able to get all the way to the final and win it for their country. So I want to speak about the final match and the big one that we watched over the weekend, where our Nigerian brothers, they struggled, man. It was a tough day for them on the socials. My agent. Okay, it's fine, guys. It's okay. Let me just get everybody in. Remember, guys, Ivory Coast. That's what we're speaking about. We'll dissect Bafana again on another day.
You know, it's just not right. It's just not right.
Hey, I'm listening to chat. Guys. Remember to mute when you come in. Remember to mute, or you're gonna hear your chats that you're having outside. Debza, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, OT. I'm with you. Hey,
I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be fair to you guys. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to speak about Bafana.
Yeah.
1 minute. And then we move on.
Yeah.
So Debza, your minute goes on. Starts.
All right. Let me just touch on what we have to do for Bafana to improve from where we are right now. The foundation has been laid, and then the standard has been set. Now we are not expecting anything less now. You understand? This is the standard that we want. You understand? So for us to move forward, is that we saw that we have defensively we are fine, man. You understand? We just have to keep that and improve on that as well. And then when it comes to midfield, we have midfielders. It's just that, as you said, or Baba said, it's just a matter of selection. It's just a matter of selection. Where I am worried, get our front line. We have to develop our front line, man. Like all front three, whether strike force and wingers, we have lost that. And when it comes to strikers, Aseta no fair. Even Kanagotela Tabompela, they were not that clinical. Yes, they were scoring, but then they were not that deadly. You understand? So Asin Toman, no, we've been crying about strikers all along. I think it's high time we do something about our strikers. You understand? So yeah, I know we've got both Fosters. We may cry about Foster, but then Liana is not that great compared to other African countries that have high quality strikers that score week in, week out in overseas. You understand? So look at our best striker is Foster. He's playing for Burnley. You understand what I'm saying?
So, Debza, your minute, I'm giving you guys a minute. Let me go to Tarili. I'm gonna come back. Let me go to Tarili 263. You can just unmute and join me. Okay. We'll come back. Agent, we've got a minute. What do you think about the Bafana Bafana conversation in a minute?
You guys are starting to gain weight, but we'll see you on the weekend. It's fine. I'm shelving this conversation. I'm shelving it. I haven't forgotten. But Bafana, you know, there was a man in the Bible called John. So John baptized Jesus, you know, and he saw signs and symbols that this is the Savior, you know. So when Jesus was not doing what John was expecting, and John asked the question now that, are you the one or should you look for another one? The same John who saw signs and symbols that this is our Savior. He's the one who's asking, are you the one or should look for another one? So I feel like this is where we are. You know, we've seen the Savior, we've seen the signs, we've seen the symbols that Bruce is the guy. But still you're questioning because he's not doing things that we want. Is he the one or is not another one? You know, I'm the one not to question Bruce's selection, even if next season or next game he selects whoever, you know, Makopa and the pass again. What I've seen is it works for him, and at what cost, at whoever's cost, for me personally doesn't matter. As long as Bafana is doing well, I'm okay with it, you know, because what I've learned from this AFCON is it's not a matter of having a collection of galaxy of stars, but collective bargaining. That's it for me. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. Terry Lee, are you with me? Okay, doesn't seem like Terry Lee's there. Let me go to Wawa. Wawa, you've got a minute, my brother. Tell me about Bafana Bafana. I know you guys are itching for this.
All right, my brother. Great.
You're right.
Okay, guys. I think I've been following Hugo Bruce since he came in May. Is it 2021 or 2022?
2021, I think.
Yeah. So I've followed this guy for a very long time. I think the one thing in South Africa that we're not comfortable with, it's the truth, right? Hugo Bruce doesn't sugarcoat at all, and he knows what he wants. And as a South Africa, we've had a lot of coaches that have lied to the supporters so much we got used to being lied to. So when a man comes in and brings in change and he knows exactly what he wants, not what the SAFA wants, not what the PSL wants, he doesn't cater people's feelings. He knows what he wants. A lot of people complain about Makopa. I support Orlando Pirates. Dude, the Makopa that I saw on AFCON, I've never seen that guy, Angmazi. And how he used him. A lot of people would say, no, he didn't score goals. But did you see combinations between him and Zwane? The 1-2s that Makopa we never expected to see. But today, we thank Sundowns for what they did for us. And another last point I wanted to make, in 2010, Spain won the World Cup because of Barcelona. And Real Madrid. Germany 2014 won the FIFA World Cup because of what? Bayern Munich. Why in South Africa it's a problem when we're using Mamelodi Sundowns to get to the third place in AFCON? That's the question I have. Thank you, my brother.
No, thank you, my brother. We'll go deeper in those ones on another show. Motiko, how are you? You can just unmute them, Motiko. TV. Okay, let me go to the star. The star, are you with me?
Yes. Thanks, my brother.
No, thank you, the star. You've got a minute. Give me what your thoughts about Bafana Bafana and what you've heard in the conversation that we've had.
Towards the conversation, I would say we South Africans are spoiled brat, just to say the least, you know, because honestly speaking, we went to this competition, no one thought we'll ever even get a bronze, let alone coming out of the group stages, you know. And for 23 years, after 23 years, this is our first actually, like, silverware, we'll put it that way. It's something the coach did very well. You know, we are unfair to the coach because the top as we always say, Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates are the top two South African teams. You know, the narrative is always there. But it couldn't get players from these two teams. You know, being honest, it couldn't. There are no players there. You know, sometimes we are quick to judge people when we actually have to do the introspection. The problem is with us, you know. But for me, I think the coach did very well. I'm impressed with the boys, what they've done. You know, we are a work in progress. You know, at least we have our heads up high. You know, we can talk about football. You know, for the longest time possible, we haven't been able to have something nice to say about, especially Bafana. So for me, we did great, and big ups to the coach. You know, big up to Mamelodi Sundowns. You know, as the other speakers have said, I mean, even Egypt used the Al-Ahly for many years. They win the Africa Cup of Nations. It was never a problem, but that's that. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity, bro.
No, but stay on. Or unless you don't want to speak about the Ivory Coast game.
No, fine. Now I'll hang around.
Stay on.
All right.
Let me go to Motiko. Motiko, are you with me now? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back, man. I was struggling with the unmute button. I don't know what was happening.
No stress, my brother. Tell me, I'm giving you a minute. What do you think about the Bafana conversation that was had? What do you think we can do to get better?
No, I think we are fine, man. Bros are stuck to this more or less the same tactics. Just that having the Sundowns players on board, he was able to at least add the short passing element. Or he was able to use the short passing element when he needed it. But remember when Bros first came into the setup, Bafana was playing like that in the AFCON qualifiers, in the World Cup qualifiers, whereby I feel like we should have qualified. Bafana was playing exactly the same way. And you find that actually majority of the players is the players that Hugo Bros has been using. I think maybe Tapelo Maseko, Jay Adams, and Jaden Adams were the only new players there because Apollo's played, against Rwanda. So in a way, I'm satisfied with how Bafana played. They surprised us, and I feel like from now on, I have a feeling they'll qualify for the World Cup, and I feel they'll do well in the World Cup. With the same team. I think maybe we need to bring in, because Gaston Serino now has a South African citizenship. I think Hugo Bros must look into maybe bring him into the setup. They must also look at bringing in Temi Nkosi Lodge, maybe as a replacement for Thembazwane, or maybe as a substitute for Thembazwane, because Lodge plays exactly the same way as Thembazwane. There's not much of a difference, just that I think Lodge has more energy, given that age is still on his side. And then maybe you should also look at bringing who's this guy, Pule Modi, back into the setup as well. And then we'll be fine.
Okay. Debza, let's get into the main thing. Ivory Coast, Nigeria. Nigeria scores in the 38th minute. Ivory Coast scores in the 62nd and the 81st minute. The team that nobody expected to be at the end of that. What did you think about the game that was played by Nigeria and Ivory Coast?
No, man, Nigeria played as they were playing throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
They're not anyhow dangerous. I thought maybe the coach had something else to show us. Maybe he would approach games differently according to how other teams are playing, and show us something different. But we saw the very same thing over and over and over again, and surely Ivory Coast knew what Nigeria how are they going to play. So they were very predictable. I hear other people saying that Osimhen didn't come to the party. Osimhen is that and that. It's because of he was starved of chances. He didn't have players that he can play with. They were not attacking as he would like. He was sacrificing himself for the team, honestly. He didn't complain because he had to sacrifice himself for the team. He's a team player. He is a team player. But then, in all honesty, they didn't support the guy. They didn't play to his strength. As Leren Bafana, we didn't play to Makopa's strength. He was sacrificing himself. You understand? Same applies to Osimhen. If they played to his strength, I believe Osimhen would have won this AFCON for them, because they had the players. They had the players to do that in that game. Ivory Coast. They could have easily played Iobi behind Osimhen and played maybe with two holding midfielders and played Iobi with Osimhen there. But because they didn't do that, but again, Ivory Coast grew into the game and found their confidence.
Yeah.
And I like the way they didn't hang their heads when they went a goal down. They believed that they can come back, because they've made the biggest comebacks when they were about to be knocked out out of the tournament. They saw that they had the second chance in this tournament, and they grabbed it with their both hands. They had that they believed that this is meant for them. As long as they didn't go out in the group stages, they had the belief that this is meant for them, and they played very well. They put pressure on them. They didn't give them any chance, especially that boy that plays for Brighton. I don't remember his name. That created 2 goals. He was fantastic. He gave them the problems in the win. So Nigeria did this to themselves. They had the players. Honestly, they had the players, but they kept their luck ended last night. Their luck ended last night because they kept winning by luck. It was only by luck.
Let me bring in Agent. Agent, what did you think of the final?
Yeah, I'm happy that Abuti Tebogo there, his last point, they've been winning by luck. Not to derail a bit and sound like a fan of a certain team at a certain village somewhere. Nigeria has not been playing the most entertaining football. In fact, they've been playing the most boring football, worse than South Africa. So I think it goes to the conversation: pretty football or result football. So Nigeria is showing that even with superstars, you can play ugly football, but we're not there. We're on the game. I think sometimes I ask myself simple questions. What do analysts do? Or is it a case of because you are so skilled at something, you overthink it, right? I was surprised at Ivory Coast, firstly. How do you concede between the 36th minute and the 45th minute? How do you concede in that moment? Because you definitely know that Nigeria is going to score at those times. I think like 6 goals or whatever the goals of them, like 90% of their goals are around that time. How do you allow that to happen? And that is on analyst, to say, guys, I know between that time you're tired, but make sure that you switch on. Even as a coach, you become more active at that point. Say, guys, no, switch on now, I think this is where you need a Kune who says, switch on, guys, switch on, even though that one is bad luck, but it's fine. And then still, on Nigeria's side, you know this team, you've seen 2 games of them that 70th, 80th minute, they score, they come back, they have that comeback in them, so how do you not switch on at that point? So I think those were analysts, I wouldn't say coach per se, but analyst failures for both teams, but it's fine. Let's go to Nigeria. If you go to Nigeria, it's very interesting. Obviously, at that point, I was upset with Hugo Bruce that why change the system that has been working, but we saw the results that, okay, actually it worked, because teams would have studied Bafana, So even with Nigeria, okay, fine, you play defensive football. Okay, fine, you prefer to attack on, you prefer to like sit back and do a counter-attack. But you're playing against a team which is low on confidence, which is, teams have been attacking it, So why not attack it? Because you saw that is its weakness, So you sit back and you allow them to gain confidence. Like, okay, actually, team is there, man. We can beat this team, And it's not like they don't have quality players. They have quality players, you know. So when you give quality players confidence, they can do magic, you know. So I was surprised that even after scoring, they're not going for the second one and the third one, you know. Ivory Coast was the better team, and this was the best performance of Ivory Coast that I've seen, you know. And then lastly, on Nigeria, they make a weird sub. They made a weird sub. They take out who did they take out? But they took someone out and brought in Uchukwueze, you know, someone who's
They
been
took
starting
Simon
almost
out.
all
They
the
took
games.
Simon out. Moses
Yeah,
Simon.
Moses Simon, you know, yeah, Moses Simon, you know, and Moses Simon, look, man, I think we identify them as key players in the build-up to Bafana and say what Osimhen does. Osimhen initiates a press, and those guys come after him, or he holds the ball and gives it to Moses Simon. And look, man, so those are your two dangerous players. Osimhen is dangerous in the sense that he initiates the presses and he does all those things, all the dirty work, you know. But those two are your most dangerous ones. So you take him out and you bring in Chukwueze, and we know that generally people who play in England and everything like that, they don't necessarily perform well in AFCON because of humidity, temperatures, they need time to adapt, you know. So that was a tactical error by the coach, you know. But lastly, on the Ivory Coast side, I mean, this is a fairy tale, if I can put it that way, you know. So I think the coach richly deserves the coach of the tournament, because I mean, no one could have predicted that this happening, you know, being the worst team in the round of 16 and going all the way to win it. I mean, this is why we love football, man. I think there's nothing to analyze on that side. I mean, unless just that he was able. You know, one thing about local coaches, before I forget, is they're able to unite players. You know, like you see Hugo Bruce. Hugo Bruce is I don't care. If you wanna jump, you know. But those locals are gonna save him. You know, they're gonna give them, what is it called? An arm around the shoulder kind of treatment. You know, hence Abu Hala, Casey, and everybody coming back, and they're playing for the coach. You know, and you ask yourself, where have they been, these guys? So yeah.
Okay. Let me go to Wawa. Wawa, what did you think about the final, Nigeria, Ivory Coast?
Malum, I think a lot of people watch this game because in Nigeria ate us. I think people also forget, you know, that the coach is his first year, though in Nigeria. And I won't lie, the coach did very well. I won't lie. From your first year, you're into the finals. That's great work, man. I won't lie. I would give that guy a round of applause. But I think the biggest mistake a lot of people like really don't understand is Nigeria has the best front three, probably if we're rating them in the top 10 emhlabeni in the entire world. Liverpool will die to have that front three. Arsenal will die to have that front three. That's an honest thing. But now, yesterday, Nigeria, when I looked at the game, I was like, after everything that happened, you've made it from the group stages, you've gone all the way through to make it to the final. The first question I had for the coach, why are you scared to have somebody that's going to be confident enough to go all out and, you know, change the game on its own? But now the question is, where is that player? We have Tebogo Mokoena, right? Ivory Coast has Ufofana. Cape Verde had that guy, man, I forgot his name. They don't have a middle fielder that's going to force the game going forward. You know, that's why they rely so much on counter attacks, because they don't have people that knows how to play the ball from the middle. They always, like Morocco, same thing. That's how we beat Morocco, right? Morocco plays from the back, use Hakim, go into the middle and cross the ball, right? That's how they play. But now Nigeria doesn't have that playmaker in the middle. So I think that's their weakest point in the middle field. Abanayo Muntu that's going to be able to hold the game, play the ball, and be able to find the Osimhen. That's how we actually, I think the coach was say Ivory Coast looked at the match against us against Nigeria. And it was like, if we starve Osimhen, Nobody is able to get the ball to Osimhen. I think the game is over because that's what they did. They stuffed Osimhen and all the responsibilities forward were only for Osimhen. If you take out Osimhen out of the game, if you take out Simeon out of the game, you take out Lukman, Nigeria is off, is gone because they don't have that supply. Now, the coach looked at that same mistake. I think brother Agent said it when they took out Usimian and put Uchikeza. Uchikeza was not ready for that crowd. He wasn't in the spirit of, you know what, this is a wake-up call. I need to be in a final. I think that's one of the most dangerous things. Mau Kochi, you don't change a midfield for you because you're going to lose the game. You can't take out people that have been starting for the entire tournament and change them on the final. If you want to change, probably the wings or the striker, left back or left right, what you call it, left back or a right back. But from the goalkeeper, center backs, midfield, you don't change those people because they've seen the game. They understand the game. So if you change those people, you fuck everything up. Sorry to use the F word.
Language,
but I think but I think from a lot of African people, I think, guys, we should congratulate Nigeria. We should congratulate the coach. They've done very exceptionally well. And Ivory Coast had the crowd. They had the home advantage. Like everything was behind them. But jealousy aside, I am proud of what the coach has done. I know a lot of Africans hate Nigeria. Myself, I hated them when they lost against us, but football is football, man. Come on, we congratulate people that have done well. And I think going forward, they should definitely bench Ulukman and give Iniacho more chances on that team, man. He's a better player, man. He's a better player, man. I'm not hating on Lukman, but Inihacho, I've been watching that guy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful player. Inihacho, Osimhen, and Chikwezi can definitely do something great. Thank you, guys.
Okay. No, thank you, Wawa. The Star, tell me what you thought about this game, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear
you. Yeah. For me, I think with all the analysis that we have listened to, I understand where everyone is coming from, but I think we are missing the point. I think everything changed in the last 16 game for Ivory Coast. I think they lost 4-0, if my memory serves me correct. They've won one game. They had to draw that game or win. They lost 4-0. So after the game, they were out, to be honest, you know. Goal average was not in their favor. Actually, the people of Ivory Coast, they were already angry with them. I think they fired the coach as well, if I'm not mistaken. So it's the same thing that happens to Bafana when we lost that opening game. You know, they had nothing to lose. So as from that game, the way they qualified to the knockout stages, you know, for them, I think they've seen it all. And then, yes, of course, the supporters help by coming back to the stadium. But, you know, I mean, if that was in South Africa, and obviously South Africans, we talk about football. Surely they knew that the people of Ivory Coast were not happy with the way they've performed. And, you know, that was like a chance for them to redeem themselves. And what the way to redeem yourself by going all the way and just lifting the trophy. It's like a dream, but it's all started on that game. For me, you know, when they lost 4-0, you know, if you watch that game, it was a clean 4-0, you know. They never came to the party. You wouldn't pick to say this player was better today. No one was playing well for them on the day. But I think it was a wake-up call. The same that we took as South Africa, you know, after that lost first opening game, which went all the way. We got the bronze at the end. So I think it's the same change of mentality. You know, lucky for them, they got the opportunity to redeem themselves. And hell, they did, man. Yeah, so for me, I think for Nigeria, they were playing with a team that had nothing to lose. They've
Yeah.
lost everything. Yeah, so for me, that was the turning point. But
Okay.
good game. Yeah, it's good game. Yeah, I mean, 1-0 down, half time, coming back and winning 2-0, 2-1. I mean, like the second goal, that's a poacher's goal. I think the last I remember the striker that used to score those kind of goals was from Italy. I think he's a coach now. Inzaghi, I think. Yeah, that's a poacher's goal. You just need to touch the ball and
Yeah.
it goes to the net. Yeah, but yeah, that's for me.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, no, thanks, my brother. Let me go to Motiko. Motiko, tell me what you thought about this final.
I think Nigeria shot themselves in the foot. The same thing that Senegal did. Like we said last time, when Senegal was playing, whenever they scored, usually they'd sit back or try to make things hard for the opponents.
Yeah.
Nigeria were also doing the same thing as well. Senegal did the same thing. It made them lose against Cote d'Ivoire when they least expected it. Nigeria also did the same thing as well. After scoring the first goal, now you no longer want to attack. You just want to maybe try knock the ball around, or maybe try have those defensive lane, just make it tough for the opponents to come at you. And like the previous analyst said, Cote d'Ivoire had nothing to lose, so they went all out. Even if it meant they lose 2-0 or 3-0, but they went all out. So yeah, I feel like Nigeria shot themselves in the foot, and they've got like very good players, man. They've got a lot of good forward players. They had that beast of a player who was injured, Victor Boniface. So I wonder if he was in the tournament, what would have happened.
Yeah.
He would have stayed in Nigeria as well. But Nigeria needs to get coaches, maybe like coaches like Pito, or like ball playing coaches, because the type of quality that they have, man. Nigeria is supposed to be like that 1994 Nigeria that used to compete in the World Cup, a team that's supposed to appear in the quarterfinals regularly of the World Cup or in the semifinals. What that type of team? That's a dream team. And I don't understand any coach who would fail to even win an AFCON with that type of team. It's more like with Gareth Southgate at England.
Yeah.
How he's failing to win the Euro, how he's even failing to win the World Cup when he's got actually the best English team, in many years. So the things like these are so this match was a good match. Congrats to Ivory Coast. I didn't expect them to win it at all. I feel like also Nigeria just wasted, because they could have allowed us to win the game, because definitely Bafana would have beaten Ivory Coast. I remember we played in that friendly against Cote d'Ivoire. We could have beaten these guys in the final, most definitely. But it was a good match. In the end, they do deserve it, especially Sebastian Haller, given the fact that he just came from what you call testicular cancer.
Yeah.
So to bounce back like that, actually, it's it's quite amazing. It shows that if you ever never say die at it, you go far in life. So yeah.
Okay. I just want to say, I just want to give my thoughts. My thoughts on the game are very simple. I think Ivory Coast showed us all, when people say the best form of attack, best form of defensive attack, this is what they mean. I think they were committed to making sure that Nigeria doesn't progress the ball. Nigeria doesn't have a central midfield. Nigeria's central midfield has no ball players in it, and Iwobi is often out of position. The only ball player they have there is out of position. He's often too preoccupied with trying to keep up with the defensive responsibilities and space and all of that stuff. He can't go forward. So they've got nobody who can link the midfield to the strikers. So what they do is they push Aina on the one side, and they push, I'm forgetting the other guy's name on the other side. They push the two players on the wings, Sanusi. They push them up, and that creates Lookman and whether it be Chikwueze or whether it be Simon, coming closer to Victor Osimhen, who usually keeps the two guys up top, the two center backs preoccupied, gets the ball, feeds it to them, they score, right? But in this game, because Adingra on that side was going very hard in terms of the attack, and because Ivory Coast is a wing-playing team, they forced themselves forward so much that at some point, Nigeria realized that the back three that they have is not going to be enough to hold back these guys. So you'll find Sanusi, you'll find Sanusi, and again, why am I forgetting his name? You find Sanusi and Aina having to drop all the way back, and that meant that Ivory Coast could keep on attacking without having to worry about what's going to happen when the ball gets free. When the ball got free, Victor Osimhen is running on the wing, trying to win the ball because these two wingers in the three have to drop back. It was a very interesting dynamic there. And the only time Nigeria really got back into the game was when Ivory Coast themselves slowed down because they couldn't keep the pace that they were playing up for so long. I think Nigeria's tactic is a very simple one. Get the ball into the other people's box by any means necessary, and then hope that Osimhen can create enough chaos for them to score. But if Osimhen is running on the wing, there's nothing Osimhen can do. He's not going to be that effective. And if Osimhen is on the wing and Aina and Sanusi aren't allowed to come up, that means that even when the wing players get the ball, it's one-on-one on the wing. They lose the ball a lot of times. It was Aurea versus Lukman on the one side, and Chikwetsi couldn't get past Ivory Coast's left back because they were alone. Now, what Nigeria could have done was put Iwobi into a 10 position and then allow him to play behind Victor Osimhen, who was winning the first ball but had nobody to play the secondary pass. So if you saw, the best chance that they got came from Victor Osimhen getting the ball comes to him, he puts it down, he gives it, the ball came, he won it, but it rolled over to Iwobi. Iwobi plays it through, and I believe it was Lukman who had a chance. That's how Nigeria played. But because Ivory Coast was so aggressive, and also because Nigeria decided to lean on defense. So when you're playing an aggressive team and you take out all of your ability to score or your threat, that team doesn't have to do much anymore. They can just carry on going, and you guys will be under pressure for most of the game, and they'll score. You needed an outlet. They didn't have an outlet. They didn't play an outlet. They thought they could defend that 1-0 lead for the whole game. And the comeback team came back in Ivory Coast and they won the game. Tebza, I want to talk about AFCON more broadly. What are your thoughts now that we are at the end of AFCON and we've seen everything done? What did you think of this AFCON tournament?
A very exciting AFCON, very exciting tournament. As Dr. Petrus Mutsepe said, the president, he promised us this. He knew that it's going to be a totally different AFCON. It would be unfair of us not to congratulate the match officials, the referees.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
We have to praise them because they've been even recognized overseas.
Yeah.
You understand? They've been saying that they've been using the VAR correctly and fairly so. No controversy whatsoever in this tournament. All fairness. You understand? All the teams have performed well, even those that have went out, the big guns. You understand? They've performed. It's just that it shows that other countries have stepped up.
Yeah.
They've stepped up. They've performed. They've played how we know them. Morocco came here. They've played how we know Morocco play. It's just that the teams this year stepped up.
Yeah.
They knew what they had to do. They gave us the best AFCON. Even though the strikers this year they didn't give us so much, but it has been goals everywhere. Excitement, shocks, and all that. So it has been all football. It has presented us with the best AFCON we've ever seen in our lifetime, at least. And so I'm satisfied with this AFCON. If our African football can carry on like this with no basis,
yeah,
this tournament will be taken seriously, even overseas, because now they've been glued to it. It means they've enjoyed it, because Previously, we were not getting good remarks. So now, people overseas are getting to enjoy it. So it was a good tournament.
I want to ask you a random question. You know how we always say that African football or AFCON winning football is very scrappy, is very, like it's not beautiful. Can that football win at a World Cup?
Yeah, no.
On the spot.
Yeah. I think it can. I think it can, but then it has to be mixed with some sort of individual brilliance. If you're going to play like that, then it means your forward players have to give you something extra. Because now, remember, when we are saying playing scrap, it means you don't play any fancy football, and fancy football is there by the middle. It means there by the middle you have your hard workers. You never say the attitude players that will clean up everything and they'll dish up to your front line. So your front line must be more creative, more skillful, more clinical, because you are not going to get many chances. If you get those chances, you have to be clinical and shut the back door. You'll win the you'll win the World Cup. Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Let me go to Awawawa. How do you feel about AFCON, this AFCON tournament as a whole? And then I'm going to ask you the same secondary question. Can scrappy, ugly football win at a World Cup?
Okay, just a little bit. I forgot to congratulate Ivory Coast, man. Congrats, guys. And if anyone is listening, we're proud. You've did the African Cup. Hey, I don't know what to call it, a miracle but whatever. All right. So the question you said that, how do I feel about this AFCON entirely, right? I think honestly, from the football that we've watched for the past, 10, 15 years, we've shown that it's not only Europe that is great in football. It's not that all the players that need to go overseas that are coming from Africa to play in the best leagues. What determines the best league is the best players, where they come from: Europe, China, Spain, Belgium, whatever. But I think Patrice Motsepe, when he said this AFCON is going to be the greatest AFCON we've seen, I think he did what he said, and thank you to him for what he did to us, for us, sorry. And again, I'm happy. I won't lie. I am happy. I've seen a dream from Ivory Coast coming true. I've seen how much love people have for football, and especially in Africa. I think as Africans, we should be proud. We should be starting now, because the bar is set now. There's no big teams in Africa anymore.
Yeah.
You can be big on paper, you can be big on whatever, money transfer, whatever, but if you get to the field, the coaches have shown that right now the players in Africa are ready to listen, are ready to play football, because you can't say, even if you watch Equatorial Guinea, dude, Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, it was like a big team. And when you see them on the field, you couldn't even score more than 2 goals. If you scored 2 goals, they could score 2. If you score 3, they score 3. So it was an amazing tournament. And I've watched, I can say 87% of the games. Most of the games I've watched, and I was happy. I could watch any game because of the level and the bar that has been set in Africa. Going to the last question is this scrappy African football can win the World Cup?
Can it win a World Cup?
So, a World Cup is luck. A World Cup is, it doesn't matter what football you play. If we look at an example, I would give you Cape Verde, right? Cape Verde can be able to beat Poland, can be able to beat Finland or Ukraine. Why do I say that? Because when they have the ball, they're not afraid to go directly to you, They will hit you. And World Cup is all about moments. And this World Cup, we just watch how Argentina won it. It was about moments. If you look at the stats, there were 10 chances that were created in the final. 10 chances, and 6 of them were behind the net. So you can't tell me that big creating of chances, but 6 were used, 4 were not used. If the other 4 were used, it was still going to be a 5-5 draw. So World Cup, it's moments. World Cup, it's something that happens now. You get an opportunity, you put the ball behind the net, and you park the bus. If you can do that from the first game till the final, you can win the World Cup. But I think the only team in Africa right now that stands a chance to win the World Cup is Nigeria. But now Nigeria needs to have a man that's going to be able to link the back line and the forward. Other than that, I don't think any other team in Africa can be able to do it because we are so predictable.
Okay.
That's my view.
Let me go to Agent. Let me bring in Agent. Agent, my brother, tell me, what did you think of the AFCON tournament now that we're at the end? And then the second question, can this scrappy football win us the World Cup?
Let me start with the
Well,
last
the
one.
continent, win the continent the World Cup. Let me put it like that.
Yeah. Let me start with the last one. The thing is, when we go there, we try to be Europeans, you know? We can never beat people with the thing that they've mastered. You know, we go there when I play tiki-taka against Spain, the masters of tiki-taka, you know? If you see what Morocco did, Morocco sat back. It's like, okay, you guys have superior quality. We're gonna sit back and hit you guys on the counter. You know, we're gonna overload our wingers, our wings, and then we're gonna hit you guys. You know, so play the African way, man. Be rough on those guys. Don't. I think the problem that we have, and I think I saw a stat that I think Egypt, I think Namibia, and I think South Africa, I think maybe there's a fourth team, but yeah, it was the only team that had players, majority of them born in those countries. Others are born in Europe, and we import them from Europe. So they want to play the European style of play in Europe. That will never work. You know, be rough with those guys. Like, take them out of the game. You know, be
Mara,
scrappy.
in Europe,
Javelin
that doesn't
football.
work, Agent. In Europe, that doesn't work.
Maybe they'll learn one or two things from us, you know. But the point is, let's go to Africa and play the African way, you know. Is it skills? I think I saw this guy, the blonde guy from Ivory Coast, the one that is step overs and everyone. I like it. That's the African way. Take them on, you know. The reason why Brazil is challenging these guys is they play the Brazilian way, the Samba way, you know. So let's play our African way. No, that's it. Like I said, but then the problem is our African teams have European players. That's the only difference. But to the more general question, you know, someone said, you know, until the lion has its own storyteller, the hunter will always have the best stories, you know. For a very long time, we've been fed storytells or stories by Europeans, you know, and they have the best stories, you know. I feel like this is the time for us to show our own story, you know. Like I said, you can pick any storyline that you want in football, you'll find it in this in this AFCON, you know. Be it for us South Africans, was this Zwane's last dance, you know? Was it a case of stars, no show? Look at Mane, look at Salah, look at Andre Onana, look at Osi, look at Tau. Like, it was a stars, no show. You know, the stars didn't come to the party, you know? Was it a case of opponents did a better job of studying them, or they just didn't pitch up? I don't know. But that is to be seen, you know? And I think also so kind of the end of some teams and the beginning of some teams, you know? You saw the old generation versus the new generation, in the sense that you saw teams like Ghana and others, Egypt, were like, hey, these guys have reached that peak, that they're going down now, you know. And then you see our Cape Verde, our Guinea-Bissau, our Equatorial Guinea, they're on the ascendancy, you know. And those new teams or old teams have to regenerate, you know. It's only unfortunate, or it's fortunate, I don't know, one of the two, that the next AFCON is next year. You know, so that's a bit unfortunate for them because I don't think they'll have time to regenerate themselves. You know, and you look at, like I said, it was a tournament of underdogs. You know, you look at Cape Verde, you look at, I'm not gonna say beautiful man, but I'll leave that one. You'll talk of the use of VAR, you talk of Ivory Coast fairy tale run. Like, this is the AFCON that one day when you are old and you have white hair like Abu Vedi Loisi, we'll have good stories to share to our kids and grandkids and everything like that, you know? So, simply the best. I think that's the way to sum it up. Simply the best.
Okay.
You know, like AFCON, not AFCON, World Cup had one storyline. You know, it was a case of
Messi.
Messi or Ronaldo. That was the dance. You know, that was it. You know, but this one had every script that you want. So, congrats to Ivory Coast. Congrats to Nigeria. I think they spiced the AFCON up with the banter, even though they couldn't take it. Congrats to Cape Verde and the other minions. And mostly congrats to Bafana, man. That's the most important part. And hopefully, for once, for the sake of Lord, Danny Jordan, please don't disappoint us. Like, please, man. Let the boys arrive on time, you know? This 4 a.m. thing.
4 a.m.
You know, imagine, you know? But if we arrive at 4 a.m., when I'm dying, Danny Jordan should come to my funeral, and he should be the one who's gonna lower my casket, so that he lets me down one last time, you know.
No, thank you, Agent. Thank you so much. There's a reason why I asked the question. There was the narrative that had been spun that Morocco didn't do well at the AFCON because they don't play African type football. And what I wanted to know was that, is that the type of football that can take us forward and go and win a World Cup if our last semi-finalists didn't necessarily play the African way, quote unquote? I think that we can do well at a World Cup. I think it's just that the numbers are against us, but also you need a certain clinicalness that Europe provides, that South America gives, where if you have the 6 shots, the 2 or 3 have to be on target. As was said, 10 shots in the final of the World Cup. 6 goals? Was it 3-3? If I'm not mistaken. So that's what we're missing. But I do think that we can do something with this football. But I was just asking to find out. In terms of the tournament itself, what an incredible tournament. What an incredible tournament. I think if I was ever to advise VAR, and you guys know I speak about this a lot, not VAR, CAF. If I was ever to advise CAF on what they should do, these are the moments that we need to see over and over and over and over and over again. As Africans, as African media, we struggle with keeping these things alive, these moments alive. The story of Ivory Coast should be told for a very long time. We should watch it on TV every couple of months. We should take these storylines, Bafana Bafana doing X, Y, and Z, Nigeria doing this, the banter that they had, the minnows, Equatorial Guinea doing what it did, Cape Verde doing what it did, the big teams getting knocked out. These are the softer things that we lack in our football. And I urge CAF that this is the chance for you guys to create narratives and storylines. Guys, we don't watch the English Premiership because we don't all watch the English Premiership because it's the best. We don't watch La Liga because it's the best. There's storylines. Will Arteta do something? Will this one do that one? Will Pep be able to win that one? Klopp is leaving. How is he going to win this? Brighton doesn't have... Like, there's so many different things that can be done narrative and story-wise that can really raise what we view AFCON as. I do want to give CAF the credit. This is the first AFCON that I remember where I watched almost every game, where I sat down and I was, from the get-go, I was in it. That it was available everywhere, you know, that we watched it on SABC, on SuperSport, that it was available to all Africans properly. Well, not all, but it was available to a lot of us. So I give them kudos and credit for that, because they did actually do something great. similar to what they did with the AFL. I hope long may it continue, and I hope that next year when it comes back, we see more of these things, the upsets, the games, the play, the wonderful officiating. Yo, guys, this was an incredible tournament. This was one of the best tournaments I think I have ever watched. If I'm being 100% honest with you guys. But yeah, tomorrow, catch me again tomorrow, guys, 8 p.m. Now I must say SAST, South African Standard Time, CAT time, 8 p.m. To watch another episode of this show. Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. we are here, and then Fridays at 12:30 in the afternoon. And then, of course, we have watch-alongs of South African football, the big three: Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns. Pirates and Sundowns are going to be playing this weekend. And then also, if you want to watch back any of the previous episodes, we've had some incredible discussions, not just about matches, not just about reviewing what happened, but about some of the things that are hot topics within the game, within our game. They are all available on Facebook and on YouTube in full. Please do me the favor of following here, following the Facebook page, subscribing on YouTube. And if you want to be a member and you want to be one of the people that get access to me 24/7, get access to the community that we have, the Overthinking Football WhatsApp community that we have, where we have these conversations even deeper and in more depth with more time, head on over to YouTube, click subscribe, click on join. It's just 20 Rand a month, and you gain access to that. And then Fridays are for my members. Friday show, everybody else gets to watch, but they get to pick the topic and also lead the conversation. So if you do want to be part of that wonderful community, just know that you have to be on YouTube, subscribe and follow, subscribe and join there, 20 Rand a month. And we've got everything down there. Guys, please also support the short form content and long form content that I put out on TikTok and on Facebook and YouTube. Your views really do help. But anyway, guys, I will see you then tomorrow, 8 p.m., where it's back to normal programming. We're going to be discussing something hot that is happening within our football. Thank you guys so much for joining. For those who haven't followed, please follow. Thank you, Unati, Malume Kutso, and Mo Africa for the gifts. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m.
It's 10 o'clock. Let's go sleep.